Show. What's happening? We are back. Yesterday was no stream because children started school. So I had to go and be all, hey kids, it's good to go to school. But we're back, ready to do our random topic one. Gonna be good stuff. It's gonna be good fun. Looking forward to it. There's a lot of different topics that I've been drawing over like for these 4 or 5 years now. So many interesting ones to me. And I wish there was. I mean, I could probably in statistics look up which episode has done best on YouTube in terms of views. It would be interesting to kind of know which one was best, so can kind of rank them with the most views. But you have to kind of remove, but also not the golden ticket entries, because they get lots of views because of I post them on the competition. Hey Zelin, how's it going? And I'm getting bored of seeing dark fantasy. I'm gonna have to do something else. I'm gonna probably have to add a whole. But the thing is, in OBS, the slideshow is broken. You can only kind of like have 10 pictures, then it bugs out. Hey Ghost Ship, how's it going? Anyways, how about a topic suggestion? Let's get on. And there was no study Monday this week. Oh, bad timing. But hopefully it'll be fine anyways. Do you guys have any suggestions on what to draw? Or is it my choice? Hey Bruno Romanos, how's it going? Bruno Romanos. The man, the myth. Ingenious Sagittarius. Hey Fight Milk, how's it going? Darebard, what's up? Welcome, Darebard. What is a Sagittarius? Sagittarius is like a deer? The man, the myth, Bruno Romanos. Any topic suggestions? I'm all ears. I'm interested to draw something that you want me to draw. I'm looking back at all these dark fantasy ones, and they're significantly different from each other. Krasgar, Bear Centaur. That's pretty cool. All right, we got 2 topics. I'm gonna split the dice in 2. So we're gonna split the dice in 2. Oh, and it is Krasgar's topic. Oh yeah, a bear centaur. I mean, a centaur that's half horse, half man. So bear centaur, is that half man, half bear, or half bear, half horse? Which is which? So bear instead of a horse. So it's half man, half bear. All right. Half bear, quarter man, quarter horse. Oh man, that would be would be messy. Okay, so how do we solve this? A bear centaur. I mean, having like male legs on a bear body. It can't be like a 50-50 split in waist. That will be weird. So, how about okay, 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 okay. So how about we mix it up willy nilly? So it's almost like not willy, not randomly, obviously, but so it's kind of almost like a bear werewolf, you know, whatever that's called, a bear centaur, I guess. But we have normal human and bear parts, but not like waist split in waist, right? Because just because you're a centaur, I mean, you could have like horse-like features and so on, and you have to adapt the anatomy somehow. So maybe we can go like, okay, there's some bear parts, some man parts. Like separated. A werebjorn. A werebjorn. There you go. So I was thinking earlier that I really want to find time this year, which is probably not going to happen because time is absolutely flying. Um, but I would love to have time to make my art book this year, and it's so much work to do because I need to go through my like 50 plus sketchbooks, uh, scan scan the pages that are interesting, and good enough quality, and then arrange it all, and then send it off to, it's a lot of work. But I would really, really, really want to do that this year. So maybe it's gonna be like, okay, it's gonna be ready at the beginning of next year. But I have gathered all the info, um, or all the art, so on, finished this year. Because I'm gonna go to Berlin to talk at the art department, October. Gonna be busy probably with freelance stuff. So it's gonna be like, when do you have, when is there gonna be time, But that also kind of reminded me of the fact that it's really important to have goals. Because if you think about it, if you let's say you want to be somewhere, right? You want to get to somewhere. You want to accomplish something. You want to get hired by company X or whatever, you know. Hey, Whipping J, how's it going? And you could almost manufacture a checklist, right? Like, I gotta be good at this, I gotta make sure I have that, or whatever the goal you set, or the ultimate goal you set, whatever that is, you could start breaking it down into steps that you need to take in order to get where you want, right? It's not that that of a strange thing to have to do in order to reach your goals, right? And the goal itself doesn't need to be like a grand life plan, right? Like, as an example, like, I want to make that art book. That would be a goal. Or not stop doing this stream, and then that would be a goal, right? And if I don't want to stop doing the stream, then you could start quantifying what that is to in order to do it. Like, one of the requirements is that I keep streaming every day. Another requirement for that goal is to try to make it interesting every time, or try to educate myself so that I know what I'm doing, or helping others being educated, or, you know, whatever you decide that is the reason why or how you reach the goal. Hey, narrator, how's it going? Welcome. But what's even more important when you do set a goal is the fact that it becomes something you can weigh. It can become something you can measure, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Because if you don't set the goal, if you only have, let's say, if you only have the end, oh, things are starting to become fall over here. If you if you set the like end goal only, where you go like, oh, I want to be hired by Wizards of the Coast, or if that is one of your goals, it's such a lofty thing. It is such an undefinable thing, where yes, it's a great thing to go for. Yes, it is doable. But how can you measure if you're moving in the right direction or not if you don't have any quantifiable means of measuring that, right? So what I mean is it's really important to have goals, and even more important to have a kind of a list you go through to get closer to that goal. And it's such a big thing to kind of, it is really hard to figure out what's needed to get to that goal. Obviously, otherwise everyone would get it if it's just that easy of thinking about how you want to get there. But it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of focus and knowledge. And you can always learn this knowledge, but nevertheless it's a lot of work, right? With whatever goals you set, you're always gonna have to try to reach that goal, right? But if you don't push yourself, if you don't, like, if you know you need to improve certain things in your art, you can always try to figure out what that is, how to eliminate those weaknesses in order for you to get closer to, this example, let's say Wizards of the Coast, right? But also with Wizards of the Coast, as an example, not anyone can work for them, they have a system where they go, it's a buddy system, like a buddy recommendation system. And if most of the times, majority of the times, you will only get hired if someone else vouches for you, someone who's already working for a wizard. Which means in order for you, even if your goal is to get hired by wizard with your skills, hey, I stay, how's it going? You still need to be able to get in there somewhere, right? So that could also be another goal that you need to, like, network with Wizards of the Coast's artists. But if you don't think about that, and if you don't understand that these are probably the best bet moves that I move forward with, you know, for example, like, okay, maybe I need to work on my illustrations. That's like a given rule that I need to do, right? You should network. You should try to connect with other artists that works for a wizard, because if the ultimate goal is to get there, it doesn't hurt to be friends with the people already working there, right? Or at least know them to some degree, even over internet or maybe conventions or whatever. And those things maybe can't be daily, so but they still need to be a part of the journey, right? The goal. But then the other things you can quantify, like every week I need to at least, or every second week at a minimum one illustration that's Wizards of the Coast worthy, or as close as I can get it. Kraskar taking it instantly into use. It's fantastic. No time wasted. But as an example, and one thing, for example, which I know I should do, which I don't, which I have a really hard time doing, because I have too many things to do. I mean, I'm a husband, I'm a father of two, I'm a art director, lead artist, I am freelancer, I do this community, I do this daily stream, I freelance, so I'm already quite occupied. So me having the time to start arranging the art book, it's not, I mean, I would have to reprioritize other things, and I can't sit and scan during the night like I can do with freelance. So it's a little bit harder to get that done. But nevertheless, in theory, I should scan one picture a day. That should be easy. Like, that could be a good minimum. Or try to get as many as I can in one day, so that I can not do it the next day, or things like that. If I want to get to this goal, I need to kind of schedule in the requirements that is on me to get it done, right? And if you never push for that, you will never get to it, regardless of how much you want it, regardless of how great it would be, or whatever. But if you never schedule in the hard work, even though it might not require that much, like what I suggested for Unreal Bjorn 2, for those people who had really little time, if you do one half an hour every day, like for 2 weeks, you'll get 10 hours worth of art. And you could probably push that more than half an hour every day, but as a bare minimum, you would get 10-hour illustration. So in that sense, even if you're short on time, find, for example, find the best time of the day where you can start doing this kind of quantifiable change towards your goal, and how important it is to kind of be responsible for it in a weird way, you know, like, because if you never set a goal, it's easy to let it slide. It's like, oh, it's okay. I'm going to work for Wizards of the Coast in the end, you know. But the road to get there, the road to actually make that happen, is a long road, and you can get there by random. You can get there by the path that you could take that isn't set in goals. But if you never like hold yourself responsible, it can all easily run out in the sand. Hey, Captain Balls. Oh yeah, thank you, man. Thank you very much for the support. Truly appreciate it. But yeah, like Zealin, yeah, get better at everything. That's great, but get better at in everything. You could start thinking, okay, that wouldn't be the end goal, right? That would be one of the requirements to get to the end goal. So in one kind of strange way, you gotta consider like where you want to take it, your career, where you want to end up, to what capacity, or to what style, or to what you know. Some people want to really work for Pixar, and that's their path, right? Or Wizards, or World of Warcraft, or all these things, right? But you know, for example, if you want to work for Blizzard, a sure bet is a specific style, and you might be the most amazing, like Van Gogh style painter, but that will never sit with Blizzard, even though your end goal is with Blizzard, and you do all these traditional get better at art stuff that might not necessarily feed into towards that goal. And you might even like do a deep dive in that and get really absorbed by that style. But even though in the end, the end goal part is set aside due to your not you, Zealin, but one's obsession of this new path. So I always try to remember, okay, so my end goal, the main path is that, like, that's clearly defined, and I don't have a place where I want to end up working, but my path, I know, is like be the creative foundation of a project. Like, people, I want to be the one that molds and creates worlds for people. That's like my main goal. That was my my path, right? My dream, which I'm always working towards. So I always try to maintain that goal. That's why, for example, I always sketch. I do these warm-ups. I have lots of spare projects, personal projects of my own, and I also do a lot of freelance. And all these projects, they feed into that main goal of maintaining where I am at, right? Because I've reached my goal in that sense that I'm in the early. I mean, I'm a pre-production artist mostly, so I'm happy, but it doesn't mean that I will stay at this goal, right? Because I always want to improve. I always want to move with the time. I never want to be complacent, and all these things. Right? So I need to keep moving. But that also, because it's such an undefinable thing, but my main goal is always that, right? And then I supplement it with maybe animation, maybe 3D, just to try things out. But I never, let's say 3D will never be my main thing, because it's counterproductive to my end goal. But that knowledge of learning 3D is really supplementary to my main goal. So unless like I want to be a 3D character modeler, I would have to completely reassess my goals, reassess my schedule, reassess my obligations towards that journey. Hey, Dr. Spud MD, how's it going? Nareda, well, yeah. I mean, in this instance, yes. Or in that instance, yes. I mean, it was just an example. So yeah, if you want to get hired by Blizzard, you really have to understand what Blizzard wants, what they're looking for, what, you know, style of color, style of all these things, right? But that was just merely just an example of what's required if you want to go that route, right? But what I mean is without a focused point to go for, there is really easy that you're, because time is valuable, right? Time is really important. Because I know personally that things can easily kind of disappear into the ether. Just time just flies by, right? That's a classic quote. Time flies by. But it does. Like, let me, as an example, which is quite an interesting example, right? I made this indie game, 2012, I think we released it. It took a little bit over a year to make, but we had planned it to be shorter. And the game itself was released. It sold pretty okay. It could have sold better if we had better luck with timing and so on, but nevertheless, it was released. It took 1.5 years possibly to make, way longer than what we wanted. And one of the reasons, for example, why it took so much longer is because I made bespoke art for absolutely everything, right? It was great fun. I enjoyed it, but a lot of nights, a lot of days, I was sitting there and forcing myself to work, because to put in the man hours, right? To get it done, and to make it, you know, it's like an obligation, right? I cannot work on it because it needs to be released. So I sit there and work on it. And so it became counterproductive in a way. So what I had to do was I had to stop working one day in order to have energy to start working the other day, the next day. And we had planned for three releases, like episode 1, 2, 3, right? Episode 1, everything was absolutely bespoke, unique art for everything, and uh, and that took majority of the time. Episode 2 was significantly faster because I had learned my lessons. I had learned to be way more efficient. So with the same amount of like mental energy and physical energy, I got a lot more done at a shorter time. Not because I was better, not because I understood something differently, but just because I reprioritized my time and the amount of work I did towards the final product. There, Mark. Cheers. So, like, if you would compare episode 1 with episode 2, it's still the same commitment, but it was done significantly faster. But I had still the same amount of passion, still the same end goal. Nothing changed. It was just a matter of reprioritizing how finished it should look. How smart am I working towards the end goal, and all these things, right? So it was really obvious for me after that point, because episode 1 almost killed me. It was really hard work, really stressful. A lot of people in the group, they kind of burned out uh, because it was just this hardcore grind for nothing. So it was working really hard, but it was unfocused in terms of the efficiency. So that's one of the things that you should really think about. Like I mentioned, that time is money, right? And even though it's a very pessimistic point of view, you only have an X amount of hours in your life, right? Day by day, you get closer and closer to the end, right? Well, happy Tuesday. But it's true, right? You can't deny that fact that the end will come to all of us at some point. So it doesn't matter how hard you work, uh, as much as it's great to both work hard and work smart. So that's why I kind of wanted to talk about, in terms of goals, is to, if you do have a goal, try to think about how to get to that point. Like I want to be a children books illustrator. Okay, so how could you quantify that path? What are the pieces that are missing? Well, you need to get better. Sure, that's a technical exercise. You can learn to technically get better at illustration, or you can learn about the theory about how to make pictures better, or you can having meeting with publishers. You can go to publishers. You can, there's all these different routes to take, and if you're not aware of them, and if you don't start planning them in, the fact that you're not taking steps towards that end goal deliberately, the chances of you never reaching that end goal just is really high, because there's no um, direction in your effort. You may be one of the hardest workers ever, but if you don't work smart, like my episode 1 analogy, like working like a madman every day, go to bed at 2 in the morning, like beat and destroyed, but it doesn't matter that you worked so hard if it's unfocused effort. and it's easy for, even though you work hard and you can even lose will to reach that end goal just because you're working so hard and you can't get to the end, right? So maybe you just got to think about way more about those steps to get to that goal. Maybe you can try it differently. Maybe you can do it in a different manner. Maybe you have lost the happiness of art, and maybe that is one of the things that keeps you from reaching your goal, because maybe you're doing too much studies, or whatever that could be. It's something you really have. One is owe that to themselves, to consider what you need to do to get where you want to go. And that's usually what I do. Like I mentioned this before, but every year in December I take a vacation from art. I switch off the machines. I don't draw anything for a month, more or less. I don't think about art as in making art, but I do think about my goals. I think about my style. I think about what I'm happy with, and if it's the right direction that I want to go in. What's the next yearly focal point of where I want to take my art? Like what adjustments in the ride should I take in order to have the best possible next year, artistically or life wise. And I try to do that with all aspects of my life, on all these things, right? But I think it's important that we start focusing the effort. And it's a great thing that people have energy, and a great thing that people are pushing hard, but you should also consider how hard, or how you're implementing that effort. Hey, that toothbrush has gone. You made it to the end. How's it going? Time is up. Unfortunately, the toothbrush. I gotta get to work. But hopefully, my hope is I made you think a little bit about the topic today. Not so much like you should be crying yourself to sleep, or feel stressed about that you don't have a goal, or anything like that, but like I mentioned, even after my like whole episode 1 experience, when I realized it, just the fact that I understood that I've put all this effort in the wrong way, it absolutely and fundamentally changed my approach to everything. So that's why I wanted to mention it, not to scare you or not to make you feel bad, but to make you aware of it. And the best thing is that if you're aware of it, you can do what you want with that information. But if you're not aware of it, the chances are you're working really hard, but in the end, that all that effort is like pouring a bucket of effort into a bottle, and without a funnel to funnel all that energy, every little drop of that effort goes into the bottle. You'll still fill the bottle, right? But all that outside that doesn't hit in the hole in the bottle, all that effort will be wasted. So, well, thank you for the topic, Kraskar. It was fun to draw a bear centaur. Let's find a suitable victim to raid. Oh, Chloe Ventura is painting a very beautiful bird. So have a good day, everyone. Good night if you're that part of the world. See you tomorrow morning for yet another warm-up. Boss, thanks for that subscription. Fantastic. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Yeah, so don't worry. Just consider your efforts so that you don't waste some of that hard work. Anyways, have a good one. Let's raid Chloe. She's a great streamer. Outro, and then I'll take you to the raid, so don't go anywhere. Have a good one.